Ladies and gentlemen, the Korean stock market continued to have a bloodbath today, and so did the Japanese and the Taiwan index. But more importantly, there is a threat that's coming from the Chinese side, and it's going to impact the rest of the AI trade. I thought it's important because most of our bull run right now is supported by one thing: AI, AI, AI. And the AI future doesn't look that promising if the Chinese were to come in a big negative way. And let me give you the full story. So for starters, the Kospi index, which is the Korean index, has plunged almost 6%, and now it's below 6,000 points. At one point in time, it was below 8%, and fortunately recovered back a bit. And right now, we are looking at the Kospi index having a very serious bloodbath from the all-time high. So if we were to take stock, the Kospi index, which is the Korean index, have fallen by almost 40%. That's very serious. In fact, a fall of 20% is generally regarded as a bear market. A 40% index is really a bloodbath. The Taipei index is also fallen by 17% from its all-time high, and the Nikkei index by 16%. So these are the current stock market positions right now, and we actually also have a similar impact right now in the Nasdaq, which has fallen almost by 10%. In fact, yesterday it crossed 10%, and I took some action. And more importantly is what's going to happen next to the rest of the AI trade. So today I want to talk about something a bit different, which is the threat of the Chinese technology, and that's going to have a serious impact on the AI trade and AI stocks. Now, this talk is going to be quite technical, but I'm going to make it easy for everybody to understand because it involves a lot of technology. But to start off, the Chinese have just shocked the chip industry. And I'm going to give you the full picture in a simplified, easy to understand way. So imagine that the world has only one company that makes printers. And every book, every passport, every examination paper, anything that needs to be printed, all are made by this one company. If this is so, the company can charge almost any price you want. This is a typical classic economic story of a monopoly. In the chip space, there is one company that holds this monopoly, and the company is called ASML. And instead of printing words and pictures onto paper, it prints microscopic circuits onto silicon wafers. So this is exactly what is driving the power of AI, which is making chips into microscopic sizes. And the company is a Dutch company called ASML. So the ASML is a company that makes all this AI trade possible. It's a Dutch company with a monopoly on the world's most critical machines right now. So they print microscopic circuits onto silicon wafers using light. I don't know how is it being made, but it sounds pretty sophisticated. And this is the first step in making modern chips. And each of these machines, the EUV machines, and I'll talk about that later, cost up to $300 to $350 million. It actually costs as much as a commercial airplane, and they are shipped in dozens of containers. These are big, huge machines. And almost every advanced, modern-day, up-to-date, sophisticated chips from Apple, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, they are made from ASML machines. And in a nutshell, if you don't have ASML machines, you can't make all those chips. They are approximately $600 billion in market cap. Okay, a Dutch company. And in fact, I'm quite surprised that ASML is not belonging to America, but actually a Dutch company. Now, it's important for us to understand this thing called a lithography machine. Now, ignore what lithography it does from the technical terms, but what it does is that they make stem. Think of it as cookie. Okay, if we are making cookies, in order to make the cookie, we must make the stem that make the cookie with the stem pattern on it, and the smaller the better. So the lithography machines, if you are able to stem very, very small and precise pattern, then the more powerful the chip would be. And that's why these are very complex machines. Here, I want to introduce two technical terms. One is called DUV and the other one is called EUV. Now, just take it that one is old technology, one is new technology in that sense, right? If you were to look at it as if it's two cameras, DUV stands for Deep Ultraviolet. It's an old lithography technology, okay, for stamping that uses deep ultraviolet lights, okay? I don't know how this technology works, but right now, China has this, okay? China has this technology. Then the other one is EUV, which is extreme ultraviolet light. It's really cutting edge technology to make even smaller, precise chip prints on silicon wafers and things like that. And they are needed for the most advanced AI and smartphone chips and things like that. Well, think of it, both works, but one is highly sophisticated, the other one is just sophisticated. And the Chinese does not have the EUV yet. So the big news is this: China has a company, a Shanghai-based company, their state-backed, as beginning mass producing their own DUV lithography machines. That means the old technology machines in that sense. In the past, they couldn't even build them. Now, when I say old means it's not OO, but it's just not as cutting edge as the EUV. But this is a very big news. Nobody ever thought that the Chinese could ever do this. They thought ASML is the only company in the world that can do this. Now a Chinese company in Shanghai say, I can build DUV machines right now. And these machines, once they are built, they'll be deployed into the top China chip makers. And with this, they can now produce very low-cost chips. And the target right now is to produce from 5 machines, then to 20 machines in a single year. So this is the first time China has produced DUV machines at scale without the help of ASML. And that's a big news because right now they are going to use their own technology and break into this space, which in the past was a monopoly of ASML, the Dutch. Now with this, everybody is getting excited or getting worried depending where you sit. And I think the most important thing is to note is this: DUV is good enough for many, many applications. You don't really need EUV, which is the sophisticated one that the Chinese still don't have. So DUV already serves cars, EVs, televisions, appliances, systems, robots, AI, diagnostics, whatever. And it's really a very big market. And the Chinese able to reach this part of technology is a very significant first step. Now, this will worry the Americans a lot because in the eyes of the Americans, this technology is a technology of the Americans with the help of ASML. So ASML has been stopped by US from exporting their most advanced technology to China. And they have some control through commercial influence and things like that. And they did not allow ASML to let China have this technology. So as a result, America has more or less a monopoly and control over the chips, but they didn't foresee that the Chinese can build this on their own. And so they thought that as long as I deny the Chinese of these machines, then they can't build their chips and we own the monopoly chips and we can charge anything we want. So the AI space is largely a technology of the Americans. So that's what the Trump administration thinks. Well, Chinese strategy is quite brilliant. Chinese said, I'm not going to go for the most cutting edge. I just want to be good enough. I don't need to be the best. So what they do is that they actually build machines, build systems to be good enough to serve the mass market. And that's what they do. And they have been doing that with DeepSeek. And now Kimi Kim Tree is coming out. And now chips is also of this space. They are not trying to be the best. They are trying to be good enough to serve mass market at a low price. And that will compete a lot of the value out of the Americans. So think of it this way. Does the Chinese need to beat the Americans? No. A lot of people say the Chinese will never be able to beat Americans. Beat in what context? Beat in the leading cutting edge? No, I don't think the Chinese can. Maybe you try hard, they could, but that's not what they're trying to do. They are trying to make it good enough for their market. I've seen it with my own eyes. What does that mean? They really have very good cutting edge technology that's good enough for mass deployment. You could buy things that are very affordable in the technology space, partner and work with them, and that will serve 80, 90% of all the world's needs. For the rest, remaining 5, 10%, let the Americans have it. So think of it this way, that if we are talking about cars, yes, Ferrari will be the best, and they don't want to build Ferrari. The Ferrari can leave it to the Angmos to do it, the Americans, the Europeans to do it. The Chinese, I'll build mass market cars, BYD, Toyota equivalent or whatever, that can sell in millions, okay, millions of cars and things like that. I just need to be good enough and reliable, and the Chinese are exactly doing that. So can the DUV technology build AI chips? Because that's the key thing. If they can build AI chips in a good way, that's durable, good enough to serve most of the demand, then we will have tremendous competition to the Western world. So right now, DUV is good enough. Now think of it this way. So EUV with one coat will layer up the silicon chip, and the DUV needs multiple coats. Now, maybe it's a bit slower to build, maybe a little bit more costly, but the job still get done. So I think this is a key thing. The DUV is a good enough technology that will put up a good fight against the EUV. Now, before we all get panicky that the Chinese are coming to eat the lunch, as a result, they're going to cause a tremendous crash to all the AI technologies of the world. Well, as it stands right now, for this year, they're just going to build 5 machines. Next year, they're going to ramp up to 20, and then at steady state, 100 plus machines. So this is not the immediate threat, but this threat is coming. And as a result, the technology is already frightening Wall Street, and Wall Street is certainly having a reaction. And bad news are all coming up, and this will slowly chip off a lot of value from the technology space. And the bull run that we have seen right now have reversed, and we possibly will see this additional bad news chipping off things in the high-tech space. Now, even though right now all the chip manufacturers, IT manufacturers are building AI sophisticated equipment with huge profit, record-breaking profit, why are the markets panicking? Well, the markets do not look at the current, they look at the future. They look at the future and say, oh no, ASML no longer has a dominance and a monopoly over this. Now there are challenges coming in. We better get ready and reprice our stock market expectation in anticipation of a calamity, or maybe even a strong challenger that will come and eat our lunch. So with this, they are repricing the entire stock market from a monopoly to a challenger environment. And that's why the semiconductor space sell off in a very big way. Now, just to be very clear, yes, we don't have an immediate threat, but from what I've seen, I can tell you the Chinese catching up in the AI space is only a matter of time. And let's not just look down on their AI models like DeepSeek, lousy model and things like that. There are moonshot AI, which is Kimi K3 and things like that, may not be as good, but it's good enough for their use. And the AI chips right now, instead of NVIDIA, they are using Huawei AI chips, CXMT memory chips. And they're all doing very well and going for challenger, carving out the value out of the competitors like NVIDIA and so on. So now their ecosystem right now in China, it's amassing and it's building up. So one by one, bit by bit, the Chinese is chipping off the value out of the Americans and the rest of the world. And I'll just say this, I've seen it in my AI trips to Shanghai. I think this will come in a very big way. So in conclusion, now I don't know technology enough to know how fast, how threatening this is. But from what I've seen as the culture and the innovative and the hunger of the Chinese, I would just say this, while today this is not an AI killer, it will slowly chip off value from the mainstream AI competitors, and Wall Street won't like it. So that's why repricing is happening. So I was seriously ask everybody to just don't be overly heavy weighted, don't leverage, and just be very careful. I am a strong believer on buying into crashes, and I actually like that, market is repricing to now more sensible level. Whenever people are frightened, I'll get greedy. So I think it's time that I'm going to get greedy soon. Let's see how this thing will pan out. And if this pan out in a very massive way, that's not necessarily a bad thing to make things more reasonable price so that we can take some opportunity. Okay, let me hear your thoughts, especially those people who are techie. Let me hear your view as well. And I would like to also disclaim that I'm not an expert in this space. So if you have a different opinion, do let me hear your views as well. Thank you, and I'll see you in a live stream tonight. Bye-bye.